glancing down at Lucky, who was now staring up at him with trusting eyes. The idea that someone had hurt this dog, left him to starve in the cold, made his stomach turn. Dr. Ellis hesitated. Technically, we can notify the authorities, but given the circumstances, I doubt anyone will claim him. Keanu didn't even think twice. He reached out and stroked Lucky's head. Then I'll take him. The vet smiled. You sure? Keanu nodded. Yeah, he's mine now. Lucky wagged his tail for the first time, and in that moment, Keanu knew he hadn't just saved the dog. The dog had saved him, too. From the moment Lucky stepped into Keanu's car, life was never the same for either of them. At first, Lucky was hesitant, still unsure if this new life was real or just another temporary stop before abandonment. But Keanu was patient. He fed him, bathed him, and gave him a warm place to sleep. Days turned into weeks and Lucky transformed. His ribs no longer showed, his fur regained its shine, and his once fearful eyes now gleamed with trust. They became inseparable. Lucky followed Keanu everywhere, onto movie sets, into restaurants, even to charity events. He was more than just a pet. He was family. Wherever Keanu went, Lucky trotted beside him, tail wagging. Fans and crew members quickly fell in love with the dog who had once been left behind at a gas station. Is that your new bodyguard? A reporter joked during an interview. Keanu grinned, ruffling Lucky's ears. Something like that. He's the real star here. The sun dipped low over the horizon, casting golden hues across the ocean waves. Keanu walked barefoot along the beach, the soft sand warm beneath his feet. Beside him, Lucky ran freely, his tail wagging as he chased the incoming waves. He barked playfully, spinning in circles before running back to Keanu's side. Keanu crouched, rubbing Lucky's ears. Not bad for a gas station stray, huh? Lucky licked his face as if agreeing. For the first time in his life, he was no longer lost. No longer waiting for someone to come back for him. He was home. As the waves crashed and the sky turned shades of pink and orange, Keanu and Lucky continued walking, side by side, two souls who had saved each other, forever bonded by fate. The rain drizzled steadily, painting the night in shimmering streaks against the dim glow of the gas station lights. Puddles formed in the cracks of the pavement, reflecting the red and white neon sign that flickered above the station's tiny convenience store. A biting wind howled through the near-empty lot, but no one paid much attention to the small, shivering figure curled up near the entrance. A stray dog, thin, drenched and trembling, sat hunched against the cold, its matted fur clinging to its frail body. Every so often, a customer would rush past, shielding themselves from the rain, barely sparing the dog a glance. Some ignored it, others muttered about filthy strays, and one man even waved a foot at it, trying to scare it away. The dog flinched but did not run. It had nowhere to go. A black Chevrolet Tahoe rolled up to pump number 3, its headlights cutting through the gloom. The driver's door opened, and out stepped a man, his long dark hair damp from the drizzle, a simple hoodie pulled over his head. Keanu Reeves stretched his legs after hours on the road, glancing around before heading toward the store. That's when he saw the dog. He paused. Something about the way it sat, silent, resigned, not even bothering to beg, struck him. Reaching into his car, Keanu pulled out a protein bar from his bag and unwrapped it. He crouched down, extending the food toward the dog, speaking in a low, gentle voice. "Hey, buddy, you hungry?" The dog lifted its head slowly, its dull brown eyes meeting his. For a moment it hesitated, as if unsure whether to trust the stranger. Then, with careful movements, it crept closer and sniffed the food. Within seconds, it was devouring it hungrily. Keanu noticed a faded red collar around its neck. He reached out, and the dog tensed but didn't pull away as he gently turned the collar in his fingers. No tag, no name, no owner. A frown creased his brow. He stood up and walked inside the store, shaking the rain from his hoodie. At the counter, a bored-looking cashier was scrolling through his phone. Keanu cleared his throat. "Hey, that dog outside, does it belong to anyone?" The cashier barely glanced up. "Nah, been here for days. Some guy left it behind, I think." Poor thing. Keanu looked back through the glass door at the dog, now sitting where he had left it, still shivering but watching him. Something inside him shifted. He knew what he had to do. Keanu stepped back outside, the cold drizzle still falling in thin sheets. The dog watched him with cautious eyes, its ribs faintly visible beneath the wet fur. It had been abandoned, left behind like an afterthought in a world that had no time for kindness. He crouched down slowly, careful not to startle the poor creature. "Hey, buddy," he murmured, extending a hand. "You've been through a lot, huh?" The dog stiffened, muscles tensed as if expecting harm. But Keanu was patient. He stayed still, letting the dog decide. A moment later, the shivering animal took a hesitant step forward, then another. Finally, its damp nose brushed against his palm. A small smile tugged at Keanu's lips. "That's it, good boy." He ran his fingers gently through the dog's matted fur. It was cold, rough, tangled with dirt. But beneath all that, there was a heart still beating, still hoping. He exhaled, making up his mind. "All right," he said softly. "I can't leave you here." Standing up, he walked to his car and opened the passenger door. He looked back at the dog and patted the seat. "What do you say, buddy? Want to come with me?" The dog hesitated, glancing around as if expecting someone to drag it away. But no one came. Just the rain. Just the empty road. With a slow, uncertain movement, it stepped forward, then hopped into the car. Keanu smiled. "That's more like it." He slid into the driver's seat, turning on the heater as he pulled back onto the road. The dog curled up beside him, its small body trembling at first, then gradually relaxing in the warmth. "You need a name," Keanu said, glancing over at the now sleeping dog. "How about Lucky?" The dog let out a soft sigh in its sleep, as if approving. "Lucky," Keanu nodded. "Yeah, Lucky." The next morning, Keanu pulled into a small veterinary clinic on the outskirts of town. Lucky had eaten a proper meal for the first time in days, but Keanu wanted to make sure he was healthy. Inside the vet, a kind-eyed woman named Dr. Ellis gently examined Lucky. "He's underweight, but nothing a good diet won't fix," she said as she ran a scanner over his body. Then suddenly she frowned. "What is it?" Keanu asked. Dr. Ellis pointed to the small screen. "He has a microchip." Keanu's chest tightened. "So he belongs to someone?" The vet's expression darkened as she checked the records. "Not exactly." She turned the screen toward him, showing a flagged report. Lucky's last registered owner was reported for animal neglect. He was abandoned after being mistreated for years. Keanu clenched his jaw, glancing down at